Hi, I'm Kiki.
And I'm Kemi.
And you're listening to
Your Advisors Will See You Now, a podcast that will help you to figure out all of your options for life after high school. Hey everyone, and welcome to our second season of So Your Advisors Will See You Now. We just want to say thank you so much for all of our listeners for listening to season 1. If you haven't listened to that already, we strongly suggest that you go back and listen to it. Our first season was dedicated to information about applying to school, how to kind of make your decision on where to go or kind of narrowing down your career fields. And there was a lot of helpful information. So if you haven't listened to that, go back and listen to those episodes. But this season, on season 2, Kiki and I are going to be talking about four-year college alternatives because we feel strongly about this that usually once you go to school, everybody mostly focuses on you need to get into a four-year college, but we also want to provide information about what other alternatives there are out there because those might also be a good fit for you depending on what you want to do.
Mm-hmm.
So today, in our first episode, we are going to specifically talk about community college. And I think it's very beneficial to talk about community college because I feel like in the past some people kind of looked down on it. But now that I look back on it, I'm like, it's pretty affordable to get, especially some of your gen ed, like your gen eds done. So we'll talk a little bit about what gen eds are because some people might not even understand what that is, but it's definitely even a good approach if you're considering on if you want to go to a four-year college, but if you want to save some money, get your gen eds done, then transfer. This is also a good way to save some money in that regard too. So don't automatically overlook community college. This might be a step for you to go to a fourth year school, or maybe for you to even get a general associate's degree. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. We'll unpack that because maybe you're like, what are they talking about? What's a gen ed? What's an associate's degree? But we're going to dive a little bit into that now. So I'm going to ask Kiki our first question. Kiki works at a community college, so she is going to be laying down the wisdom, laying down the wisdom today for most of our information. But Kiki, just lightly, how do you get into community college? It's very similar to what we were talking about before, but let's just begin there.
So you definitely, as Kimmy said, it's a similar process. You still have to apply, submit an application. It's more just an application to get you in the system and to help you follow enrollment steps. So I know at my community college, it is, I guess you consider it like continuous admission. So students can apply at any point in the school year because we have different sessions. So, of course, we have fall, we have spring, we have summer sessions, but there are sessions within those longer semesters. But yeah, I mean, you just go to this college's website. If you are in a certain, well, any state probably has like their own, like community or college in general, college system website. So I know, yeah, I won't say. Well, I know, we have ours. You can go and do your whole application through this specific website, whatever state you're in. So it just, again, you're putting your name, your information, personal information. Kemi and I talked about in the last season, applying to a four-year school, you have to do essays. You don't have to do an essay for a community college. You just literally apply and I should have just started with this. You get in automatically. There's no like having to get vetted or anything. They're not looking at anything specific to get you in. Everybody gets in. So it's a pretty easy process. Just, fill it out, just do it in one sitting. Of course, you want to do your like residency determination. That's to determine if you're in-state resident or out-of-state resident. Go ahead and do your financial aid. I would say just do all of that. Submit your high school transcripts. If you have college credit, do all of that. Just get it done in one sitting. It's a really easy application process.
Yeah, quick question on that too, because now that I'm thinking, you still have to pay an application fee, correct? For your community college, I know you probably can't speak on behalf of all, but for yours, do you have to pay an application fee?
Ours is free. I'm pretty sure you don't. I would venture to say that all community colleges. This is an assumption, but ours is free. I would think that all community college applications are free. And if they're not free, they're very inexpensive. But I don't think you have to pay for them though.
Okay, awesome, awesome. So, I know you wanted to dive in a little bit more about that high school does matter because even though
Mhm.
Kiki just mentioned, she said it's pretty easy to get in. There's not much of a vetting process, but we don't want you to necessarily think, oh, okay, I can just get into community college. Therefore, I don't need to show up to my high school classes. I don't need to be
Right.
getting A's. I can get some F's in high school and go to
Mhm.
community college. No, that's not what we are saying.
Mhm.
So your high school grades, they still do matter.
Mhm.
And the reason why is it can influence your placement. So do you want to talk about like the placement tests and that sort of thing, Kiki, and how that works?
Right. So again, everything is going to be, it depends on the state you live in. But in my experience, so Kimmy's absolutely right. Your high school grades are very important. And that's just like an obvious statement.
Mhm.
Maybe community college is like a backup option for you, but you still want to do, obviously you're still reaching to do well in your high school classes for if you are applying to a 4-year school. But maybe you go through the 4-year school application process and you're like, this is not for me. You still want to keep those grades up, especially at the end of your senior year. Keep those grades up because your grades are going to matter wherever you plan to go. And
Mhm.
the reason I say that is, so, for example, Kimmy mentioned general education courses at the beginning. For students that have certain GPAs, and again, it's state by state, some states might just use your high school GPA to place you into courses. Some you may have to do a placement test to determine like where you are in terms of college level. So, college level are classes that go towards your degree. So, classes that are going to count towards your program of study that you're getting grades in.
Mhm.
Some students,
Do you want to list
GPA wise, you
Sorry,
want
you
me to
want
list them?
to Yeah, you want to
Yeah.
list some of those?
So general education courses are going to be your English, your math, social sciences. So social sciences are like your history, psychology, sociology, history. It could be economics courses, it could be anthropology, um, your natural sciences. So those are like physics, chemistry, biology, whatever your college offers. I know we have astronomy as some science options.
Yeah.
Really general education courses, I think I named the majority, but general education courses are really just as it's saying general.
Yeah. So
They're not like specific.
like a science,
Yeah,
a math, a
exactly.
English, and then you can kind of choose what specific course within there, but it's just a
Mhm.
general in one of those fields, I guess you could say.
Yeah,
Mhm.
exactly. Or it could be like some electives can fall into there too,
Mhm.
or like communications courses, fine arts, humanities courses. Those
Yep.
are all general education courses. Really just think about classes that aren't specific towards your major for the most part. Some may be, but all of them are not specific towards your major. And
Mhm.
every degree is going and in an associate's degree, if you're doing a degree for the most part, you're going to be required to do some level of general education. So yeah, as I was mentioning, your high school GPA or your placement test scores are important in terms of like how you get placed into college level general education courses. Because some students come in, their GPA is not hot. They're gonna have to start with, I don't like to call them remedial. A lot of students would consider them remedial, but I would say they're more like refresher courses. And
Mhm.
again, it's gonna vary. But these are classes that likely won't count towards your degree, but maybe it's just they're just helping you to improve your, I would say this, they're preparing you for college level English and math. So
Mhm.
like writing, pre-calculus algebra classes, statistics classes, even though you think like, oh, I did so like I'm really good at math, I'm really good at writing, but if your GPA doesn't show that or your test scores don't show that, that's where you get placed. That's where you
Mhm.
have to start. So keep that in mind going into community college. They're going to talk about, your advisor's going to sit down with you and talk about your placement into certain classes and have the understanding. Maybe you just had a slack last year or there was personal things going on. We understand as advisors, we understand things happen. So we know we're not putting you into these classes because we don't like you. Like
Mhm.
we're just going by what our policies and procedures are at the college. So if you know you're great in math, then the refresher courses should be
Easy for you.
easy, exactly. If you're same thing for writing. But if you're not so hot in math or you're not so hot in writing, they're gonna really help you. They're gonna help either way. I really tell students like, what if one day you take calculus one?
Mm.
Like even though you need to take refresher courses. You're not doing calculus 1 material in that, but you're doing work to prepare you for calculus 1, or any higher math. Um,
Mhm.
so think about too, if you've been out of school for a period of time, you haven't done math in a long time, or you haven't written an essay in a long time. These classes are helping you. I'm harping on that because I tell students every day, like they're going to help you. You're going to feel
Yeah.
better prepared, especially if you really like sit down and don't just do the work just because, like do it because you want to understand it. It's going to help you in the long run. So
Mhm.
yeah, moral of that story is your high school grades are important. They're really going to inform your placement into certain classes once you get to college, whether that's community college or the 4-year college, just to be clear too.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Awesome. So you talked about the placement, you talked about gen ed courses.
Mhm.
Now, can you kind of define for us what an associate's degree is? Because I know we had this like conversation before about defining the difference between like an associate's, like an applied science degree, and the difference
Mhm.
between transfer, so just transferring credits. Because in community college, there's two ways that you can go. You can go to community college, so you can get some of your gen eds done, and you could transfer to a 4-year school,
Mhm.
or you can actually go to a community college and get an associate's degree. So you're actually getting a degree from it. So there's two ways to look at a community college. So do you want to kind of
Mhm.
dive into the differences between those, Kiki?
I can. So when you go to a community college, Kimmy's already mentioned the highest degree that you can attain is an associate's degree. I have heard, like side note, I have heard that there's some community colleges that are doing bachelor's programs,
Okay.
but it's like very, very new. I heard that like very quickly. But just expect when you're going to a community college, you're going to get you're pursuing an associate's degree as the highest degree that they offer at that college.
Hmm.
So
Which is a 2-year
and
degree, right?
right. It's what it's most students would call it a 2-year degree. I try to tell people also to get away from that 2-year degree. It's the most like it's the easiest term to differentiate between a 2-year college and a 4-year college.
Hmm.
But just don't put a time limit on yourself. If it takes you longer
Right.
to finish an associate's degree, this is my little soapbox. It's okay for it to take longer because there's other factors that go into coming to school. Like school is like another thing in your abilities box, but you may have work, you may have family things, you may have just other things completely.
Hmm.
So if it takes you longer than 2 years, that is fine. I always tell people take a few classes if you know you have a lot going on, take a couple of classes at a time, do really well in those couple of classes each semester so you can, finish successfully.
Hmm.
But that's my soapbox. But so yeah, as Kimmy mentioned, there's either associate and applied science degrees or your general like transfer associate's degrees. So when we talk about an associate in applied science, it's literally that. It's an applied science. You're applying what you're learning in the classroom to what your career will be.
Hmm.
So like some examples of applied sciences could be welding technology. So these are also like technical
Hmm.
degrees, but it could be welding technology, it could be nursing, dental hygiene, business administration, paralegal. Maybe you're doing like culinary arts, baking and pastry, hospitality. The list
Hmm.
goes on and on and on. And depending on what school you go to or community college you're going to, the names can vary. Um, but again, as I mentioned, you do have to do like general education courses. That's standard for any degree. But you need those because, like, if you have to write a lot of essays in your paralegal studies class, you need that writing foundation. So again, your gen eds are going to be required for the most part, but these are classes you're like taking for your degree.
Hmm.
So if you're going to be in paralegal, if you're going to be in welding, you're actually taking these classes that are specific to that career field. So
A
I would say
core
they're like
course.
specialized. Yeah,
Hmm.
exactly. I would say they're like specialized courses.
Hmm.
So that when you graduate, you have that skill set to be successful in that specialized career field.
Hmm.
Um, and the applied sciences are different than like your general transfer degrees because general transfer degrees are only comprised of general education courses. So you may have some electives in there. So like let's say you want to be a business major, then you'll have some business electives in there. So like your economics, accounting, computers courses will be included, but you're not really getting into, like Kimmy just said, you're not really getting into your core classes until you transfer to the 4-year school.
Hmm.
But if you think about in a general transfer associate's degree, It's really just helping you to complete your general education courses
Mhm.
for your major once you transfer to your quote unquote 4 year school.
Yeah.
Because I'll just quickly say, like, a bachelor's degree is usually 120 credit hours. So if you do have half of your bachelor at the community college, you've done
Mhm.
all of your gen ed, so you can transfer and just do your core
Your
major
core
classes.
courses.
Mhm.
Exactly. And then so kind of just to put it in another way, so even so in regular four-year colleges, your freshman year, and then maybe even some into your sophomore year as well, you
Mhm.
do have to complete gen ed courses.
Mhm.
So if you have to compare the two price tags, the gen ed courses are going to be more expensive at a four-year institution versus you're going to a community college to get it done. So it's kind of
Yep.
like if you want to save some money, just get the gen eds done at the community college, then transfer into the four-year college. If
Yes.
it's gonna check off the same boxes on the same list that you need, you might
Mhm.
as well get it at a more affordable price.
Right.
Why? Like, why have that extra price tag? Why? So, and then after you get your gen eds, literally you could transfer to the four-year college and you're jumping right into your core courses. So literally the specific courses that cater to your major, which
Mhm.
makes sense to like you're gonna pay the money for the specific courses that you need. So why not save a little extra cash for the long run? Why not just shave off a little more debt than you need to?
Mhm.
You know? I should have looked up the app. Well, that kind of depends from school to school. I was gonna do like a little example of what's the average cost per course for
Mhm.
a general and a university, a four-year versus a community
It's a
college.
huge difference.
But it's
It's I mean, I don't even like you said, it would depend on each school, each
yeah,
state, but it's a huge difference.
yeah.
Like the credit like per credit hour.
Mhm.
Um
Per credit
all
hour.
right, like just go into it knowing you're paying a lot less. Like Kemi said, that's what I would really consider. Like, and I guess I'm not sure if we're gonna get to this, but I'll just say it now. Community college would be a good option. Like if you're not ready to go to a 4 year school yet, it's a great option. You
Mhm.
can commute. You can still be at home if that's what your situation is. Maybe you're just not. Maybe you don't feel like mature enough to go off to the 4 year school yet. But think about if you go to a 4 year school, like Kimmy just said, you're paying a whole lot more for your classes.
Mhm.
But
For your gen eds.
for your gen eds. But consider like if you're not mature enough yet, you go off to school and you don't take it seriously, you just wasted a whole bunch of money.
Mhm.
Whereas I'm not saying come to community college and be slack, but um
But you're
if you
saying
if you are
like
slack, yeah. Mhm.
But, like, what you're also saying is, like, if you're honestly not even 110% sure what you wanna major in a four-year college, why waste your money paying extra on
Right.
courses when you can just take your time in the community college, get the gen eds done, and then figure
Mhm.
it out versus
Mhm.
spending extra money figuring out, then you're like, "Oh, man, actually, I'm in the wrong four-year college. I shouldn't have even applied here."
Exactly, because you can be all the way across the country,
Mhm,
and you just don't have that support, the support that you need at that time. But Kimmy's absolutely right. Take that time at a community college as well to just think about it, even if it's like 1 or 2 semesters
mhm,
that you're just trying to think about what do I want to major in before I transfer. Do that.
yeah,
Don't feel like you have to go. And I think a lot of students just want that 4 year school experience, but I totally understand.
yeah,
But you can still get that. You're not going to get the full 4 years. Well, you are because even at community college, we have organizations, we have clubs.
mhm,
You can do. You can be a student ambassador if you want to be a tour guide.
mhm,
Most community colleges have that experience.
yeah,
You're just a commuter student. I think that's the biggest,
yeah.
honestly, the
Well
biggest difference.
Well, there's actually some community colleges out there that actually have dorms. You have to
That's
look
true.
for it, and
That's
it's
true.
not as common. But if you look
Hmm.
out there, there are some that actually have dorms. And I was
That's true.
yeah. So if you
Mhm.
wanted to even get that experience as well, just have to look for that as one of your needs that you want. So yeah,
Exactly. I know we got on a tangent, but I mean, I think that's a helpful tangent to like
yeah.
consider the cost of taking general education courses. But just to go back to like applied sciences, I was gonna say, so I would say in applied science, well, it depends on the field. Like if you're getting your associate's degree in nursing, you are going, you're getting your degree to be a nurse.
Mhm.
Like you can, of course, get a bachelor's to be a nurse, but you can get an associate's degree. They do take longer than 2 years usually, but you can go be a nurse. You can go be a dental hygienist. You can go be a welder. I don't know. There's so many things that you can
Mhm.
go out and still have viable careers where you don't need a bachelor's degree. So definitely, if you just finished high school and you don't really love school, or like those 12 years were a lot for you, consider community college because an applied science degree has a lot of it can have a lot of weight. It can have a
Mm,
great salary depending on the field. Consider it. Or if you've been out of school for a long time and you're like, oh, I don't want to be in school for a long time. Consider an applied science or consider community college because there's so many options. There's so
yeah.
many options. And especially I guess depending on the city you live in, different, so like if you're in a big banking city or if you're in a big industrial city, then those are probably going to be the higher, like more
Mm,
popular degrees at your school. But it's guaranteed that community colleges, like wherever you are located, are partnering with like the community, like employers in the community, because they want their students to go out and be
mhm.
like in those jobs that are within your
Yeah.
region. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah, just to meet the
mhm,
needs of, like, what's going on in society. If, like,
exactly,
if something's popular in the area, obviously they want your community to grow, so therefore they wanna ensure that there's these jobs that are available, and they want the needs to be met for those jobs, so, yeah, and I agree with
exactly.
Kiki too, definitely do your research on whether you need to get a bachelor's degree for some specific things. Because even one of my good
Mhm,
friends, he got his bachelor's degree, and then he went back and got his associate's degree and found an associate's degree in automotive. So he said, "I
mhm.
literally wasted my time and my money, and he coulda got it in
That's
2
true.
years." So definitely look in your area, see in your community colleges where you are, and see what kind of associate's degrees they provide. Because it may be something that you're interested in, it might be quicker, and
Mhm,
if it's easier for you to complete it, then you can also have a a quicker time to get into the career field.
mhm.
So that's a win-win, and you're also saving money too. So,
Right.
um, and then but also too, I guess I should say this with every job, no matter what job you're gonna work with, there's gonna be a pro and there's gonna be a con with some things. So always do a deep
Mhm.
dive on whatever job you're going to do. No job is going to be 110% perfect. So I'll just leave it at that. Yeah, it's kind of just meeting your needs and what you like. So,
No, it's true. And you made a good point too, Kemi. So, like, if you go to community college and you tell your advisor, like, I want to be a psychology major, but I don't want to transfer,
mm-mm, not gonna
that's one of
happen.
those majors that's not going to be a degree at the community college. So, like you said, Kemi,
Yeah,
it's definitely important to like research
yeah.
what you want to major in, what your career goal is, because some degrees you absolutely just need a bachelor's degree for.
Right, and even still sticking to psychology, after you get a bachelor's degree in psychology, you
Right.
still need to go. Like, you can't there's not all that many jobs that you can do that pay well with just a bachelor's in psychology. That's one of those
Mhm.
degrees that if you really wanna make some good money, you gotta keep pushing forward to more education, like a
Mhm.
master's or a PhD. So
Mhm.
so that's why we always say do your research, try to narrow down your career fields and what your interests are, because some paths are lengthier than others, some are more expensive than others. But once you get an idea, you can see, okay, maybe I can cut some costs doing this, maybe I can cut some costs doing this instead.
Mhm.
So that
Mhm.
can definitely help your wallet and just the money and the loans you have to pay back after.
Right.
Hmm.
And sorry, back to my point too.
Yeah.
And so if you and I'll say another thing. So if you go to your advisor and you're like, I want to do automotive, but I want to transfer, that's likely not going to be a degree you can transfer either. So
Good point.
I say that every associate in applied science degree does not transfer to every 4-year school. It likely won't transfer to most 4-year schools. I should mention an applied science degree is like for workplace readiness. So
Mm,
it's preparing you to go into the job force after you graduate. So things like culinary, automotive, paralegal. I'm just naming some that I work with regularly. They don't all transfer, but some schools, so some community colleges will have agreements with some of the 4-year schools where you can transfer certain applied science degrees. So we're just saying all these things to you all so you know what research to do like going
mhm.
in. So we don't want you to be surprised when an advisor or somebody else tells you like, "Oh, that doesn't transfer." We don't want you to be shocked because you had this plan. So if you want to do automotive, but you want to go to a 4-year school, maybe mechanical engineering is a better fit for you because but that's more like higher level. It may not just be automotive, but you have that experience to work with like mechanics. So just remember every applied science degree doesn't go to every 4-year school. And if you understand that going in, it'll help you in the long run. But if you're like, oh, I just want to get an applied science degree, I still want to transfer. Just know every credit you take may not transfer to a 4 year
Mhm.
school. But again, we're just really trying to encourage everybody. I know we're saying a lot of things, but this is what we do. Um, but we're really just encouraging everybody to do their research so you can understand when you apply to community college, when you are looking ahead to like what you want to study, like you have a great understanding of what this degree can do down the road.
Mhm. Yeah, and then just to simplify this, because I always kind of have to repeat in my head these things to make sure I'm understanding it. So in community college, you can get an associate's degree, or you can do some gen eds, which are transferable credits. Okay, they're not the same thing. The gen eds can usually transfer over to the fourth year colleges. The
Mhm.
the associate's degrees, those are your core kind of skill sets for a specific fields. Those do not all the time transfer over to a 4-year school because those are focused things. You'd have to do your research on that.
Mhm.
So hopefully
But
that.
I also, yeah, no, that's a good way to simplify it. Um, I guess I didn't mention too. So like your general transfer degrees are either going to be generally they're like associate in arts or associate in science.
Mhm.
Maybe they have associate engineering, maybe they have associate in fine arts, but those are like your general transfer tracks are associate in arts, associate in science. So if you want to do a science field, you'll fit in the associate in science. If you want to do a more liberal arts major, that'll be associate in arts. So if you're thinking about transfer degrees, again, helping you when you talk to your advisor. If your advisor tells you, "Oh, you want to be a psychology major? Oh, you want to be a business major?" You're doing associate in arts. Don't get mad at them when they tell you associate in arts because it doesn't mean like an art degree.
Yeah.
You're not just doing like you're not going to be drawing the whole time. That's not what it means. It's just again like a liberal arts education.
Mhm.
So when your advisor says these are your degrees you'll fit in based on your degree, maybe if you're not sure, just lightly ask them like, "Oh, what does this mean?" Instead of being like, "I'm not in
Yeah.
this degree," because I get that all the time, and I'm like, "Yes, you are." I'm like, "This is your degree because of the major you're fitting into." So that's the difference. An applied science degree is going to be like an associate in whatever degree it is. Whereas if you're doing a transfer degree, it's not going to be you don't declare your major till you transfer anyway. So that's why we're not putting you like
In
that's why we're not
specific,
giving
like,
yeah,
core
like
classes.
specific. Exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Okay.
So I'll just say this too. Trust your advisor. Like we know what we're doing
Mhm.
99% of the time. We
Yep.
know what we're doing.
Yep.
We make mistakes, but trust your advisor. Again, I say like ask questions because if you're just like, I don't understand, just ask them gently. Like
Yeah.
we're not trying to like sabotage you in any way.
We are not trying to
Um
hoodwink you, I promise.
at all, at all. Because I get plenty of students who are like, I'm the associate in arts program, but I want to study business. And I'm like, well, did you listen when we did the presentation for 2 hours and we talked about these degrees?
Probably not.
But
It's a lot
and
of information,
especially
though.
it's absolutely a lot of information. That's why I say like so if your school does like new student advising sessions or if they do orientation, ask all the questions. Like
Mhm.
when I say all the questions, it's like ask all the questions. Or if you need a one-on-one session with your advisor, schedule that. Ask
Mhm.
for it so you can really understand like why you're taking classes. Because I just often see a lot of students that just don't understand like why am I taking an art class,
Mhm.
art history? Why am I taking music appreciation? Why am I taking public speaking? Again, it's just well-rounded classes. Whether you're doing an applied science degree or a transfer degree, we want you to be well-rounded in various fields.
Mm.
So just if you have questions, just ask them. Like that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
Whether it's me and Kemi or your actual advisors at your school, but just
I
ask.
know. You can ask us well, don't ask us specific things in your university because I don't know their policies, but
Exactly. Yeah, I don't know that, but
but if you're not in college yet, you need some light guidance, we got you.
right. Or if you need help with like formulating questions to ask, we'll help you
Yeah,
with that too. That's what we're here for as well.
totally, totally.
Mhm.
So Kiki, do you have a lot of students that usually do, um, dual enrollment programs? Is that something that often happens?
It is. So I don't necessarily work with those students until they like finish their dual enrollment, but we definitely have that. So again, your county and everything we're saying is just general, but your county may have a partnership with your community college where you can get free college classes. If you're sometimes it may start as early as ninth grade. Sometimes they start in 11th grade, but we definitely have dual enrollment programs. So it can either be dual enrollment where you are like at your high school, but you're also taking college classes, or we have like middle college. That's like middle or early college,
Mhm.
where students can the for us, they start in 11th grade, but they can take like a lot of gen ed. So like they've done all their high school classes and then start
Okay.
doing like general education classes. So that by the end of it, whether you are dually enrolled or in middle college, early college, you could possibly have an associate's degree by the end of your
Right.
high school career.
I have a question about that. So,
Mhm.
do a lot of the schools, those schools reach out to you first, or do you find that some families independently reach out to you to get that started?
So I think it's more like I know for us, I think it's more our recruiters go out and like talk to the schools. So
Okay.
I would say it's more of a initiative from the community college to let students and their families know like we have this opportunity.
Okay.
And it's usually for the public schools. I know here it's like public
Right.
school student. Sometimes if you're in a private school, but if you're a private school, you probably have access to like more AP. But
Right.
more AP. Not saying public schools don't have AP, but you could probably, if you're homeschooled or at a private school, you could possibly squeeze in to like a dual enrollment program as well.
Mhm.
But they're mainly catered to like the county like public schools though.
Okay.
But yeah, I would say that your recruiters are probably going out, or you may be getting mail just because you're a public high school student. You probably are getting that information. So look out for it when you get that mail because these are free. Because like I said, usually I know for us, they're free classes, but I would venture to say, like, this is kind of encouraging students to utilize their community college. So
Right.
they want you to come, so they're probably going to be paying for the classes for you.
Mhm.
Mhm.
Yeah, yeah. That's really good. I know. I didn't know too many people when I was in high school that took them, and if I would have known about that, I totally would have. I would have
I know.
just gotten it out the
I
way.
exactly. I would say working at a community college has definitely humbled me because I'm like, man, why didn't I think about this? Like, I think about like the summers that we were at Elon, like
Mhm.
just hanging out. Like I was working during the summer, but like if I could have just done a couple of online classes
Mhm.
at a community college,
Mhm.
I would have, been working to get my degree faster or just getting
Mhm.
it out of the way.
Right.
I just didn't think about it because like I went to a private school, so they probably wouldn't have allowed me to do dual enrollment. But even like summer classes or
Right.
just getting that under my belt, I I think you mentioned at the beginning, Kemi, like people look down on community college.
Mhm.
And I will admit I was one of those people. I'm reformed now because I work at one. But so I understand the amazing benefits of a community college. But if I was just like more forward thinking, or even if schools and like just all the schools we go to, just encourage students, explore all your options is
Yeah.
what Kemi and I are doing. But if your guidance counselors do that, like there's nobody too good for community college. I'll just
Mhm.
say it that way. I mean, we have students that are, I would say any community college, if you're going back to get your maybe you're applying to med school, maybe you're applying to other programs, you can go to a community college to get your general education classes done at a smaller cost. Yeah, nobody's too good to use a community college or to
Yeah.
go,
I think
even if for one class.
Yeah, I think, like, if I had to, like, everything boils down at the end of the day, like, you just have to do your research. I mean, because I can't say it's like the ill intentions for your high school is not to necessarily share with you community college, but if you go to a
Mhm.
high school, they're probably obviously gonna wanna share. We have one student that got into Yale, we got one student that got into Cornell, you know what I mean?
Right.
Obviously, that's a driving force for marketing and just showing that, hey, like, we actually do our job and we educate our students.
Mhm.
So necessarily, people don't think to maybe mention community college that it would fit in somewhere.
Right.
But it always comes down just to doing your research. What is mostly gonna meet the needs for you? Because yeah, that's great if you got into Yale. It's gonna be expensive. If you get a full-time scholarship, then you better go to Yale,
Exactly.
and you
And do
better go.
well and buckle
Um,
down. Yeah.
and buckle down. But if you don't get a full scholarship or any scholarship at all, just look at how much it's going to cost. Look at how much your boarding fees are going to be. Look at what it's going to look like when you finish. See if the job that you're going to do, if that salary is going to pay that off in time, and then see if it's not going to be a daunting amount of money that you owe. So
Mhm.
you always have to examine things, see what your need is, see what your comfort level is. I know me, I like to save a little bit of money here, so I don't in there. If I could go back in time, I think I would have completed my gen eds and then I would have went to Elon that way. I actually knew someone at Elon that did that, and
Oh, really?
yeah, yeah, there was
Oh,
one
cool.
person. I don't wanna shout their name out because it's not
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because it's their business, so it's not like
Yeah.
like, "Shout out so and so,
Right.
you were smart."
They text you like, "Kemi,
I know, like,
what?
"Girl."
What?" No,
But yeah, but someone did do that at Elon, and I'm like, "Wow, I wish I coulda went back in time and did that," but I just didn't know. I just
mhm.
didn't know, and that's why we have our
It's
podcast
true.
now. So
Exactly. Ooh, but on that point, um, community college classes don't transfer everywhere. Just keep that in mind. So
mm,
if you are thinking about like, oh, I want to go to Harvard, I want to go to Yale or any selective school, just know that your community college classes may not transfer to those more selective colleges.
mm,
Um, Again, I would say that your community college classes are intended to transfer to your public institutions like within your state.
that
So like
makes sense.
wherever you live, yeah. Wherever you live, that's where they'll likely transfer. Because again, the public schools like want community college students to like feed in
To the
to
public
their
schools, yeah.
to the public school. But like your private school within the state may take your classes too.
But they may
But
not, because
but
they
they
can be
may
picky
not.
because 'cause they're private, so that's why.
Exactly. Yeah,
Mhm,
I know there's some schools here that we like in our state that they will not they will straight up tell you they don't accept community college classes.
mhm,
So I would say, like, don't allow that to deter you from going to community college even so. Because again, if like we mentioned before, if you're not mature, if you don't feel ready to go off to school, maybe taking a semester of community college classes is helpful for you just to like integrate you into like what college classes are like, what the
right.
college environment is like. So you have that experience. But maybe, you just do a semester, maybe it takes more, but you may transfer to your 4-year school. You may not take every credit that that you completed.
Mhm,
Um, and I know that's time that seems wasted, but I wouldn't call it wasted time because it's time that that you've gained experience, that
mhm,
you've gained skill set. Maybe it's you building your study skills. So maybe in high school, like time management and your study skills were lacking. Maybe this is a time for you in community college, a couple semesters to just develop all these skills that you need to go to
mhm.
a 4-year school. So just keep in mind, especially even if you're like going out of state, everything may not transfer state to state. So I'm just letting you know, like, things to keep in mind when you go to a community college. But definitely, if anything, like the experience, like the skills you develop,
Mhm,
learning how to build rapport with your instructors or like with staff
mhm.
are things that you can like are those are transferable skills
Oh, for sure.
to a higher degree if that's what you choose to pursue
Yeah.
in your life.
I feel like this could be a whole different episode talking about
Yes, it could.
college adjustment. Because when you mentioned that, I felt that. So, I'll be honest with you, like, I was on the honor society in high school, so I
Mhm.
thought, "Oh, yeah, going to college, this is gonna be nothing, this is gonna be nothing." My freshman year, I got my grades back, I was like, "Whoa, am I not smart? Am I a
My
fraud?"
freshman, sophomore, junior, senior year, so I'll be
You
straight up. I did graduate.
you did, I was gonna say, so there's something there.
I graduated, so something God is good. I'll just say that, and that's all I'll say. But no, it is an adjustment though. It is.
Yes, like I was talking to two of my other friends too. They didn't go to Elon. They were like, "Yeah, I felt the same way. I was all A's in high school. Then I went to college at freshman year, and I was like, oh, whoa." So man, when I tell you time management is a thing, and if like you're
Mhm.
just trying to operate in a new environment, and you're trying to operate to new teaching styles, new ways of writing, because even
Mhm.
when in my undergrad in sorry for this quick tangent, but even when I was in high school, I feel as though like, yeah, I understood how to do research for papers, but I didn't know how to make an argument and have rhetoric.
Mhm.
I didn't learn that until I went to college and I took a writing class and I was like, oh, I
Mhm.
actually get to form my own opinion. It was mostly just like, okay, you're researching something in history. This is what happened. Give the information in high school.
Right.
So it was me learning this whole different style of here is my thoughts and here's my argument, here is my defense against it. So I had to learn how to rewrite that, and I also had to relearn how different professors like different writing styles or what information they're looking for their tests and everything. And it's a
Mhm.
lot of information. Sometimes your professors think that your one class is your only class. So it's a lot of bulk.
Very true.
Yeah,
It's true.
yeah. So it can definitely be an adjustment. So if you feel like you may have a tough time adjusting your first year of college, then definitely do
Mhm.
community college to get your gen eds done because you're going to need them. And then you get that experience too. So you're ready to just go into your 4 year college if you want to go to a 4 year
Mhm.
college. Because let me tell you, man, I was like, ooh, freshman year, I had to work my butt off the following years after. Thank God I did become more knowledgeable of time management and all that sort of thing and more disciplined for myself.
Mhm.
But the first year I was like, "Man, I was like, I don't know if college is for me."
That's a lot of student stories though. Like for sure. Like Kemi was not alone. I felt the same way because like so many students that come from high school and they're like, I'm a straight A student. I'm gonna go to college and be great. And that could be at their 4 year school. That could be a community college. And they do that first semester and they're like, oh shoot. Like it's like it's a reality check for
Yes.
sure. The same basically, as Kemi just said, the same tactics you use or strategies you use in high school probably won't work in college.
Mm-mm.
So it's
You
like
better
it's
be
more than
proactive.
yeah, exactly.
Proactive is the
Yeah,
name
no
of the
one's
game.
like holding your hand. That's it. Like, no one's holding your hand.
Nobody.
I know because a lot of community college instructors work there part time.
Mhm.
So like the same way Kemi said that a lot of instructors think this is your only class
Mhm.
that they have, you may think you're the only class, but no,
Mhm.
they have like probably 10 other classes that they're working with in the same
Mhm.
semester. So like they are there for your support, there to help you, but you really have to like proactive
Talk
is
to
word. You really
them.
have to talk to them to build that rapport
Yeah.
because they're not coming to look for you.
Nope.
They're not coming to be like, oh, where's your homework? You didn't turn this in. Like, no. If you know them, if you built that rapport, and like all of a sudden maybe one week you're not like as active or like weeks go by, they may be like, oh, like where's so and so? Again, you have to build the rapport
Yes.
from the jump. You
Yes.
really have to. Um, and you're like
And
in
then
a
they'll help
smaller
you.
class environment. Yeah, and then they'll
Yeah.
help you. And I think community college too, a benefit. You have a smaller class environment, so they are willing to get to know you. Like they're happy to know you. But I'm just gonna harp on that. Just do it. Like
Mhm.
be proactive.
Yes.
Proactive in getting to know your instructors, proactive in getting to know your advisor,
Mhm.
proactive in getting to know what's available to you at that college. So if it's like your resources, if you want to get involved, like I mentioned before, in clubs, organizations,
Mhm.
know what they offer. If you need tutoring, if you have accommodations from high school that you need to
Mhm.
use like disability and access services, know what your college, what that community college offers, and 4 year school too. Just know what your resources are so that you can use them to your benefit and have everything you need in your toolkit to be, a successful student, on campus. Um, the name of the game is proactivity though. Proactiveness,
Mhm.
proactivity. Just
Yeah.
be proactive because
We're gonna have to
it's
do.
gonna take you so far.
We're
That's true.
gonna.
You're writing it down.
I'm writing it down. This will be a relevant
That's true.
ramble because
It can. We can go on and on.
yeah, I can definitely go on. You are a person that you're like, I know I don't want to go to a 4 year college. I want to jump into a job right out of the workforce.
Hmm.
I just want a little bit of prep and I want to get going. What are some like 2 year, quote unquote 2 year associate's degrees I can jump into, get a job right away that pays decently or higher paid? What are some of the lists? What are some of these, Kiki?
So I can like just think about the times that we're in. We're like a very technologically driven society.
Mhm.
So IT is not going anywhere.
Yeah.
Those are definitely entry level jobs you can get that are pretty well paying jobs as well, like down the line. Because with IT, you can get your associate's degree, you can get certified
Mhm.
in information technology. So like you also have your degree, but you also have these like IT specific certifications on the side. So
Mhm.
that's just like helping you build your resume. That's not going anywhere. I think about too, like in the medical field, nursing, not
Mhm.
going anywhere. Nursing is a really great paying job.
Mhm.
And of course we need our doctors. Can't do anything without doctors, but the nurses are like pretty much the heart of the
Mhm.
medical field. So especially like this last year, I know with COVID and everything like that,
Mhm.
nurses and doctors were on the front lines. But I've just seen a lot of like I've seen a lot more students that are like, I want to be nurses.
Mm.
Um, so that's definitely a high one. Nurses get to travel too. So once you get your registered nursing degree or certification, you can be a traveling nurse at some point, and they definitely make good
Mhm.
money. Anything with like biomedical equipment technology, so that's like people who go into hospitals and have to like work with the equipment that doctors and nurses use. That's definitely
Mm,
a high paying job. Anything in the healthcare field, I would say. Anything in like the healthcare field, anything in the business field. I'm not being like super specific because the degree name may
maybe different
vary.
in different
Yeah,
places, yeah.
but I would say most community colleges have degrees in information technology, degrees in nursing.
Mhm,
Dental hygiene is a great one as well. Um, Degrees in, well, I said biomedical equipment technology is a great one. I said dental hygiene.
mhm,
I think culinary and baking and pastry, they may not be like the most highest paying jobs, but if you want to be an entrepreneur down the
mhm.
line, you have that ability as
That's a
well.
good
So I would
investment.
say, yeah, I would say anything like within hospitality are also good. Hospitality management is also a degree on its own. Those
Mhm.
are just ones I could think off like top of my head. I know we had a list, but I think
Yeah.
some of those I mentioned were on the list too.
Yeah, yeah.
Um,
I just have the list in front of me. So this is a list from US News, and it's 25 highest paying associate degree jobs. And some of them on here, I'll try not to mention the ones that you listed. So legal support workers,
mhm,
funeral service workers, aircraft and avionics mechanics and technicians, aerospace
yes.
engineering and operations technologists and technicians, let me see, web developers and digital interface designers. Yeah, that's not going anywhere. Air
Mhm,
traffic controllers, radiation therapists, nuclear technicians. And these are just some jobs that you can start in and they pay pretty well. And you just only need for some of these just a 2-year degree and then maybe some
mhm,
additional certification. Now, however, I will say still the famous line, do your research, right? Because let's say you like this job and like, oh yeah, they pay 50,000 a year. I'm just gonna do this job and call it a day. Look into research on what that specific career is because let's say
mhm,
that particular job doesn't increase in pay over the year, or maybe
mhm,
that
mhm,
job requires you to do a lot of traveling. Maybe that's something you're not interested in. Look into considering is there a lot of physical labor work that could kind of be too much for you over
true,
the years. So there's
right,
little things like that you should still look into. Just because it's quick and it's a 2-year degree and there's only a couple certifications and it makes easy money, don't think this is it. This is how I'm gonna make money and do the least bit of work.
right,
No, do your research to see if it's going to be a good fit for you. Because maybe later down the line you're like, oh man, I might want to go back to school for something else and get more education
mhm,
or veer off somewhere else in my education or a different career. So do your research. I just don't want you to come back and
that's
say,
great point.
"You guys said that these were high paying," and no, no, no. I
Right.
said these are some things, but do your research, okay?
Yes, we're gonna stand by that, do your research,
Yeah.
but yes, that's definitely a really good point.
Mhm.
Oh, but I was gonna say, like, go to so if you wanna utilize a resource for sure, definitely utilize your college, your four-year school, community college, career services department.
Mm.
Because a lot of them can tell you, like, highest paying jobs in your region. So if your plan is to stay
Mhm.
wherever you currently live, or maybe you're, within your state, maybe you just want to see like what are right now highest paying jobs, or like not even just highest paying jobs, like the most in demand jobs in
Mhm.
this region. Your career counselors can definitely talk to you about that.
Mhm.
Again, do your research, but just so you can get an idea of like what's out there in your region. It's really, really a great tool to use. But not
Mhm.
only, I mean, it can tell you like the in demand jobs, what the
Right.
average salaries are, what the day to day tasks are. I'm sure your career services, either the counselors or they have some kind of like virtual resource you all can use to research that.
Mhm.
I would definitely say do it just so you can have an idea, like going into your degree,
Mhm.
like what's out there in your, like right in your backyard, pretty much.
Yeah, and I would
Mhm.
honestly say too, when you're looking for whether it be a community college or a four-year college, as soon as you get like they'll usually give you like a little admissions pamphlet or whatever. As soon as you get that pamphlet and you see a major that you like, I would instantly say what Kiki said, go to the career services office so you can get What is
Mhm.
the career outcomes from here? Because you're going to school to get a job or be in a different career. So that's the
Mhm.
information that you want. That's what you need. That's the outcome you're looking for. So don't say, "Oh my goodness, they offer this major and this place looks cool." No, go right to that career services office and see if they're going to give you what you're paying for, and just
Right.
see where the students are ending up afterwards. So I would even
Mhm.
argue maybe even do that first before you hit admissions. Just say, "Okay, what are you offering here? Like, do you have
Right.
in demand jobs? You know?"
Mhm.
So yeah.
Very true.
hmm
Very true.
But I think we covered most of our topics.
I think we did. I feel like so this next series, I feel like we're gonna do they're gonna be so long because these are things that Kimmy and I like know
hmm
about like a lot. So we're just
Yeah.
like sharing everything we know. Because next week we're talking about technical
hmm
and vocational school, and Kimmy has experience in that setting.
hmm
So hopefully everything we've said is like really, really helpful. But I
Yeah.
think we're both obviously passionate about about these topics in general,
hmm
but especially because like this is what I do day to day right now, community college. Kimmy, like not long ago, worked in a technical vocational setting.
hmm
Um, are we doing like military as well?
Oh yeah. So for this
So
series, let
yeah.
me read what we have in line for this series.
Yeah.
So for our series of 4-year college alternatives. Obviously, we touched on community college. We're going to touch on technical vocational schools. Then, on the episode after that, we're going to talk about gap year. What's a gap year? What do you do
Hmm.
with it? And then we're also going to talk about military and the military experience. We might have a special guest come on for that.
Yes.
and and we're also going to talk about professional development and certifications. So there's going to be a lot of information for this season. I hope you guys are just thrilled and excited to hear of other alternatives that you're probably not used to hearing. So
Yeah. Hmm.
we're excited to share that information with you. So
We are.
with that, Kiki, do you want to sign us out?
Yes. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening to this. Again, if you all have questions, we always, put our linked or we always link our like website, our email, our social media pages. We're doing a lot more like engagement posts, so please look out on our Instagram and I think Facebook as well.
Mhm.
If we ask questions, make sure. Well, we would love to see what your responses are, and we'll definitely make sure to share them, so we can stay engaged with our community. But yeah, our outro is coming in after this, so
So you'll get
I
all
don't
the
say I
info.
don't say all of it, but yeah, y'all hear it every week. But thank you so much for listening. We do appreciate those that have listened, those that will listen in the future, because we know these episodes are out here now for life. So
Mhm.
people may come in like a year from now and start listening, and we love that. So definitely make sure to stay engaged with us because we want to hear from people and hear any feedback that you all have. We love to hear it. So
Definitely. Thanks, guys, and we will
thanks everyone.
see you in the next one.
See you.
Bye. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and listening to the latest episode of Your Advisors Will See You Now. Please make sure to follow us on all of our social media pages and check out our website. Take a look at the show notes below.
And please make sure to subscribe and share this podcast. Also, show us some love and please leave a 5-star review. Catch you next time.
See ya.